let's go ahead and um I'm just gonna go from bottom to top. So Sasha, you're gonna be up first. So basically, whoever submitted
Oh,
first is
hooray.
up first. Um, did you say hooray or yay?
Both.
Okay. You want to lead us into it before I play it?
It's a pretty simple anime. Oh, where's the sound?
Um, I didn't share the sound yet. You can keep
Oh, okay.
going while I set things up on my end.
Um, so it's a pretty simple animation. I love my digital art, so I wanted to just make a little character who lived in my little tablet. Um, I tried to include the actual digital art background, but it was really wonky with the animation program that I have, so I just kind of left it as is. I think it still works because it's just a cute little animation, really.
What program are you using again?
Fire alpaca.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and watch Sasha's digital art. You said this is that's the like basic name of your.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and watch it. Very nice. I really do like the cutesiness of it. And yeah, the color transition is what I was getting to next, Vin. Thank you for that. Yeah, this is really cool. I mean, is it finished right at that point, or are you doing more in terms of like the
I'll
additional things
probably
growing?
try Yeah,
Hmm.
I'll probably try and clean it up, but for now, I think it's pretty solid if you say so.
It is. It's just it doesn't quite get the 30-second, 20 to 30-second, but
Oh,
I'm
20.
yeah, for the final. I mean, this is fine for the,
Right, right.
right.
Gotcha. I could, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say is like it kind of leaves us on a cliffhanger like that with the thing with the plant growing just a little bit. I would just suggest like finishing the plant growing all the
Yeah.
way because the sun is shining, and once the plant grows, where maybe the plant is a reason for your digital character to revive herself again after the color explode
Yeah.
change after the color explosion. Because
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I really love the transition there with the color, like the explosion and then the color, and she's knocked over, but she's still black and white, but her world now is colored, and I just think closing it would be just uh here we go. That plant growing, and then that plant growing makes her realize, snap back to reality. Now it's a colorful world.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And again, that's just to, it's a idea. You're telling me it's a good idea. Thank you. I hope you can incorporate it. Also, it's like, it just kind of um to bring a little closure to the overall to the scene because I feel like I want to see that thing grow more and see
Yeah.
what's next. So that's the only thing. I don't think you have to clean it up. I really, really like and it applies to this class, but also to all the animation class. I really like the rough, quote unquote rough edges around it, and they seem to work right around the time when you need to. Like right before that explosion, you see like right there, you see the double lines and things like that. I think that works as well, part of your animation.
Yeah.
So, I
Thank
would
you.
just, you're welcome. I would just, and you're really talented as far as like coming up with animation, but also um getting that idea onto motion, because that's my hardest part as an animator is really how do I translate, this idea with humanoid characters into that thing. I can do it with motion graphics and stuff like that, but it when it time to work with actual like characters, it's really I struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think you did a great job of just kind of exploring in this really short amount of time, like having the audience like, explore and also just become part of your world, but also in this little 10-second period, like just um becoming acquainted and feeling for the character in a way.
Thank you so much.
Hmm. Um, all right. I'm gonna turn the sound up. We can watch it one more time, you all. All right. Um, let's give Sasha a round of applause, everybody. That's actually very good work. Actually, it's very good work. Um, and I have to find my reaction button. Here we go. All right, Sasha said the kind of uh tone for it, I guess I could say. Um, let's see who's next. Ace, you are next. Were you still struggling with your frame rate or did you figure something out?
So I'm just gonna have to figure out how to put two separate
Files.
animations together because like I know how to change the frame rate. It's just that Procreate only lets you do a certain amount of layers per depending on the size of it. And to have the like all right, I'll figure out how to use that. I have no experience with any video editing, so it's gonna be
Well, there's
a
resources
time.
and I can walk you through some of it. So, we'll see. But you want to lead us into your story real quickly or should I just
Yeah,
go?
so
Mhm.
I don't have any audio yet because like my idea changed a little bit as I was working. It's still like the end of the world type thing, but I added the first character from the first project along with
Mm.
the original little guy that I plan to do for this one. Um yeah, having the time of my life with that one. That sounded way too sarcastic. That was not sarcastic. I'm genuinely enjoying this. I'm
Oh,
very proud of how this one's coming out. I'm a big
okay.
fan of this one.
All right, let's see your animation. It looks good too, because you have incorporated the drawings, your own original style. Honestly, that's like the animations that are going to be the best, especially in like this kind of class, are the ones where you all really incorporated your drawing style and really kind of, went to town with that in terms of motion. So let's go ahead and see how Ace enjoyed the last 2 weeks. Nice. I think this has come along really well in terms of I'm just comparing it to your first animation, and I think this just works a lot better. Especially because you're able to get almost everything that you want. And it's interesting because your end of the world is like kind of it's what is that? Tentacles or growth on the thing?
It's like vines for the
Vine.
I the audio. Okay, so what I'm thinking for the audio is that the little deer is narrating, so I'm gonna have to put on a very different voice than my normal one than this one because the deer sounds nothing like I do. But it's narrating, and it's like, oh, this place used to be so lively, and then it's gonna cut to the other character, and like the deer can't fully remember what happened. It's like, did you actually cause the end of the world? Like, did you destroy humanity? And
So
it's
the
like
deer is going to
contemplating
be
just,
saying thinking about that.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. It's also interesting your location is like the end of the world because A lot of my animations kind of have to, when I was doing animations for artistic purposes and not for money. Um, it changes, by the way, once you start doing it for money. Ask Sasha. I don't know. She's the only one I know that has done it for money. So, um, so when you do animation simply for art and for your own, artistic purposes, there's a different kind of quality. But I tend to go the same way in the sense that, like, my stuff deals with end of the world scenarios, not and not necessarily scenarios, but you know what I mean. But this is kind of something like where it's right down my alley in a lot of ways. So what are you thinking after this? This is the contemplation moment here.
Yeah, so the next scene, because in my reference images, uh one of the doodles I had done was like a skeleton. I don't remember if it was a doodle or if I just grabbed like a graveyard off the internet. But it's I had plans for like a skeleton to be leaning against a tombstone because at some point during the end of the world, not everybody can get buried because there's nobody to do it. So the deer is it's gonna cut to another scene with the character um sitting on top of a tombstone, either like messing with this skeleton or just kind of looking down at it. Um
After this
and
scene?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's cutting from the deer to the other character.
hmm Now, my other question is, why would the deer cause the end of the world?
So it's not the deer, it's the other character.
Oh, the other character. Oh, my bad. Okay, now it makes sense. Okay, so that's what I was gonna say. It's like, are you cutting off at that point? No, you're gonna add a little bit more to give us a little closure, right? In terms of just the end of the world happening. So what's your ultimate thing here? Are we gonna see just continuous end of the world, or are we gonna see like a destruction kind of thing?
No, just the end of the world. The you get like the possible implication of what happened with the deer being
Yeah,
like,
okay.
did my companion of God knows how long really kill off humanity? Or is all in my head? Because yeah.
No, I'm with you. Keep. I understand what you're saying.
I'm very happy with how this is coming out. I was doing this on my friend's couch, and he was doing a puzzle, and I stole one of his puzzle pieces, and I forgot about it, and he was losing his mind for 2 hours. Um, then I remembered that I stole his puzzle piece. He was really mad at me. But yeah, it's I also because I was also watching Studio Ghibli movies while I was doing this, and it
Oh,
kind of
so you had
helped
a
with the
source of inspiration to drive you through the drawings, all the drawings that you had to do.
yeah the I was watching Ponyo, which that one has the end of the world nearly happen if things, were to go wrong
hmm hmm
in the movie and not have that how the ending happen. So it kind of fit, except, this one just has a ton of dead people. Everybody survived in that movie.
Well, it's, your outlook. You have a uh glass half empty about the overall world. So, and that's cool. And I feel like that's, you're kind of showing that. I wish you used this style in the first animation. This is really good in
Yeah,
terms of style.
I kind of regret not doing so. I was like, oh, I'm
That's
gonna try
okay.
Moho. I'm
All
gonna
right. Yeah, I know, but that's okay. You are kind of going back to your roots, but also, this is a great way of doing it. Megan says, I mean, we only see the old people at the end on Ponyo, so we don't know if everyone survives. All right,
I
I have to
mean,
watch that
you
again.
do you see everybody on the boat right before see every all the natural wildlife dead, everything flooded, none of the land animals survived.
Hey,
100% all those guys died. Rest
you
in
don't
peace,
know
deer.
that.
I love those guys.
It might be a little tongue-in-cheek take on the Noah story.
uh well, I
It's
Professor, you need to watch some Studio Ghibli movies, is all I'm saying. Uh,
well, yeah, I know. I haven't watched, my Studio Ghibli movies like way, 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 way back from gosh, I can't even remember it, but it's one of my favorite. It's the one about the dreams. But anyway, gosh, I have to look into my archives because I don't watch them unless I own the DVDs. Like that's me. That's just my thing because I'm one of those people I need to. I'm old, okay? I need to like it. I need tangible goods. I need to hold it and pretend that I'm putting it in or something. I haven't showed you my, it's like that's why I still own records and stuff. But
If it makes you feel better, I actually have 4 or 5 DVDs. I have the Laputa one. I have Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, and Kiki's Delivery Service on
oh,
DVD.
so I'm coming
wow,
to your house
nice.
later
Blu-ray.
because I didn't get to finish watching Kiki's last night. Um,
We used to have a place in College Park called Atomic CDs, Music and CD, and it was just basically a big warehouse full of DVDs, records, CDs. And they recently went out of business in like right after the pandemic, but or got rid of all their inventory because the guys were getting too old to run the joint. But that's where I used to get all my DVDs from, Studio Ghibli DVDs, because they had them there, which was cool. They had like those collections too.
Studio Ghibli is so great. I have no clue if this is going to be visible whatsoever because it's on my iPad, but I have one of the scenes. Yeah, no, that is just fully away. At success.
Okay, yeah.
Success.
So that's your graveyard scene, the next part, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Keep working. It's looking really great. Don't forget sound. Very important to it'll really enhance the piece and really make it, remember to use sound as to set your mood because, light music paired with this animation can make it totally not what it's supposed to be. And then, of course, the dark kind of music can make it more sinister than it can should be. So just think of something like that. And I'm thinking music, but also, sound effects and um things like that. All right.
It's definitely gonna be a mix of both. I wanted to finish the animating itself first because a big part of my process is that it changes very frequently because I'll
Mm-hmm.
start off with an idea and then I find a way to improve it. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get the animation out first and then do um
The idea improvements.
yeah, the voiceover after because I have my microphone and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I while I love doing my very dramatic voices and stuff, I'm very invested in how I've because to be honest, I didn't expect it to come out this well. Because the I'm a little proud of this one. I'm definitely gonna do more of this type of thing and
Yeah, I would definitely encourage you to, and I think this is really it shows that you had fun with this because the last one, I could see the frustration in the animation. Believe it or not, y'all, I can pick that kind of thing up from your work. I've been doing this long enough, analyzing motion graphics, analyzing motion, where I can tell like, oh, you had fun with this, and the other flip side is, wow, you were struggling, and it shows. But yeah, I can tell that you definitely had fun with this, and I would say keep going while you still have that momentum and that energy and that drive. And you only got a week anyway, so you're gonna keep going regardless. My one really, really nitpicky, but it has to do with how things are displayed on screen and rule of thirds, yada yada yada. Your deer is like way too low on the bottom right there. Not telling you you have to fix it because it's not necessarily a deal breaker, but just thinking in terms of um cinematography, the way things are shown on screen. I just think that it would have been more effective if it was more towards the middle rather than um this is fine, like just kind of as we see him, but as you are zooming in, I just wish it was like more around here. That's the only like little nitpicky critical thing that I will tell you, besides this audio or lack of. But do you see what I mean?
Absolutely. Audio is 100% coming. Uh,
But I mean,
there,
do you see what I mean with just my comment about your deer being like way too low to the ground on this lower thirds, very close to the action safe
absolutely. Yeah,
edges.
for the next animation, I will keep all your feedback in mind to better
Well,
do this.
it's not necessarily, a critical thing, but just keep in mind rule of thirds and compositional things too. Don't throw all of your other principles of um design out of the window. Um, just to make your animation work. They can all work in harmony, actually. That's the only thing. But other than that, I think you did a beautiful job. And you're planning on keeping it like this limited color palette, right?
Yeah, I really the I feel like the very sketchy vibe is very a very good representation of what it's like to be in my head. Except, I can see everything in full detail. I got the imagination of a lifetime. But the very sketchy, rough existence type beat. Uh yeah. I'm not describing this very well. But
No, but that's the kind of style you're setting. This is the kind that sketchy, rough tone, right?
yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's the impending end of the world anyway, so it's not gonna be clean.
Yeah. Oh boy, do I love the end of the world. Wild things say out loud. Not the actual end of the world, but stories and stuff about the end of the world. Love those
Well,
kind of stories.
yeah, if you think about it, every generation, every kind of big major, civilization movement has their end of the world story. And really, honestly, like the end of the world isn't the end of the literal end of the world isn't the end of the world. It's just the end of the world as us humans know it. It's not going to be the end of the world um for everyone, nature will still exist, things will take over. And the true end of the world, we only have 4 billion something years left for the actual true end of the world, where the sun swallows up the entire few planets when it swells up to become a red giant. But now that I depressed everybody even more, don't worry, you're not going to live long enough to see that. So you don't have to worry about it. But great job, Ace, and let's give Ace a round of applause, you all. I'm glad I'm gonna, extra that round of applause, extra that I don't whatever that means. Second that round of applause because uh I think you've discovered your style that I, really was hoping that you would kind of somehow figure out, and you did. Because I didn't want to tell you because you did kind of do the project in a proper way for the first project, but I don't think that Moho was your thing. I think you should just stick to what works for you for now, Ace, because the other stuff, honestly, and other people will probably back me up if they can, is that it takes a lot of tutorials and a lot of practice and time, and you really have to in order to really learn like 2D animation or 3D animation effectively, you really basically have to have projects that are really geared towards helping you learn rather than, create for the first few projects because it's really important to get the underlyings of how the uh tool works, the software works before you can really start using it effectively. I'm reading your comment. All right, Megan, you are up next. You want to set us up while I load it?
Sure, yeah. So it's still my idea of like we're going into the camera and seeing like what's inside that world.
Hmm.
Essentially, the point where it ends for this, I think it It's a 14 seconds, but when I did it before, it cut off a second, so I hope all of it's there.
Oh, that's
Um,
okay. We're not gonna cry
yeah.
about 1 second, but
But to me, it's gonna cry about because I worked hard on that second.
I know. Wait, it wasn't so what did you do before I played? What did you make it in?
I did Adobe Animate, which is that I used for the last project.
Uh-huh.
I know a little bit more tips and tricks now with it, so I'm hoping the quality for that has just improved, but I'm a lot more comfortable with it now than I was
Okay.
before. Um,
Adobe, for some reason, especially Animate and After Effects, if you're not paying attention very, very closely to the work area bar in After Effects, but also in Animate, I don't know. They tend to like, I don't know if they cut off a second or if they count zero as, the first second. Here, it's not counting zero as the first second. So just if it's chopping off that 1 extra second, just make it 1 second longer.
I mean, the good part is that I plan a fade in and fade out for this one, so
Oh,
it'll
so.
technically
Mhm.
be fine. So it's just right now the fade at the end isn't there yet.
Okay, all right, no worries. Okay, let's go ahead and watch Megan's work in process. Nice, very nice. I was not expecting that transition, which I think is really cool. I was like, "Oh, how is it going to transition?" Like it's a great moment of like setting us up for anticipation and just kind of a few looping frames to also help set up that establishing shot. Um, and then we realize, after that we're actually like I love the again this like kind of trans-dimensional teleportation kind of thing where we are looking at what we think is the establishing shot, then we really jump into the actual, you know, environment, which is the camera, and the added touch of the butterfly inside the camera is really, as Jordan says, it's super nice. Um, as well. So, what are the next uh things that you're adding to it?
So from here, we get a wide shot of the camera again, and it's going to
Uh-huh.
reveal that now the flower field is inside of the camera.
Oh, okay,
So,
that's right.
and then it's that quick transition into a city environment. And then from there, it's going to fade into more of a portrait studio. And
Hmm.
then it's going to end with that final photograph of all of them together.
Okay. Nice, nice, nice. This is going to be a really cool, visually, cool, like interesting, like these jumps between the world and the inside of the camera. Because you set it up right here and we kind of get an idea, but you're going to have other angles as well, or you're going to continue just kind of use this one?
Yeah, there's going to be other angles. So this angle will only be used again when it's revealed that the flower field is now inside of the camera.
Hmm.
From there, it'll essentially just dissolve into an open environment because it's established we're in the camera at this point.
Hmm.
So it's just going to be more focused on how the environment from the outside is now just inside and the little guy's living through it.
Nice, very nice. I really like that thinking through part, and this is really it's really again that not just the scale shift, but that whole transformation from the outdoor to the inside of the camera, and how you are really using that area inside of the camera to portray the world, which is to me I find it really hard because thinking about the camera, it's a confined little box, that's dark. And so, just imagining a person living there with whatever scene that the camera's taking, becoming that environment inside the camera, I think that speaks in a lot of different ways in terms of like how we want to imagine and reimagine and be part of the pictures we see. And I'm talking specifically, this is in reference to all those people who see everybody's posts on social media and they're like, oh, I wish, I was doing that, or I wish, though that kind of envy. But here you're really kind of just showing off your world, things that interest you, and that's becoming part of the environment of the character inside the camera. It's just a really cool like way of thinking about it and portraying location.
Yeah, and I really wanted to just focus on like the main, like the most common forms of photography you usually see. Like
Yeah,
there's landscape,
flowers, right?
street, or documentary,
Family,
and then
yeah,
portraiture.
right, right. And that also speaks a little bit in terms of cliche. I'm teaching photography at University of Maryland Global Campus right now. It's just a basic photography class, you all. And it's interesting how what you just said reminded me of what I just said to my students like last week about like, common forms of photographic subjects,
Mhm.
people, places, and structures.
Yeah,
And you kind of just are using that in your animation in a really cool way. So nice work, Megan.
thank you.
Let's all watch it again one last time with the sound. Yeah, I love that simple transition of the shutter, and the shutter is just slow enough so we can make it out that it is a shutter. Um, and it cuts to that. That's a very nice way of transitioning to the inside of the camera. Thank you, Megan. Let's all give Megan a round of applause, everyone. All right, Darian. You just have one file, right? But I still need to fix some tweaks, modify the sound, but also work on some other images. Okay. All right, Darian, set us up. How much
Um,
you got so far, and what is, um, just remind everybody your project. What is your project about again?
Mine kind of went through I guess different developments and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And thanks to one of the students from the last class. Oh yeah, this is what I have so far. I'm still working on it.
Hmm.
Ignore the bushes.
All
But
right, but yeah, what were you
I
saying? Thanks to not
forgot
your
which
one of the,
classmate it was, but one of them made the suggestion of sticking with the mall idea, then slowly adding in like the foliage and then using like then I had to use Adobe After Effects to add it in kind of like
yeah.
a before and after. So the mall was a good idea. I don't know how to
Um,
explain it well.
no, that's okay. So all right, let's go ahead and see it. How much you got? About 30 seconds. Do you have audio yet or no?
Yes, I do.
Uh,
I still need to
Okay.
tweak it though because I'm unsure like how to like either make it subtle or like not too loud. It's not really specific.
Okay. And then the other question I was gonna ask before I play it. Um, actually, I'll ask it after. All right, let's go ahead and watch Darian's animation.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's all. I'm still not used to like how the thing works occasionally.
You mean the mask tool?
Kind of like I understand how it works. It's just that when I was
It,
trying to do it earlier, I was trying to add it to like every effect without having to go back and do it over and over again.
mm-hmm.
But
Uh,
it didn't give me that option, I think.
what do you mean every effect? Like
Yes, that is
every
with the
layer?
windmills, the multiple mills. So you can see the masking effect.
Yeah.
what it means, like I tried just to like what's the word? I was trying to do it all at the same time, copy and paste on every single like
Oh,
layer.
you can't do that. You have to, yeah. Oh, you mean copy and paste the mask?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
technically did do that, but like what it means, like, we're not having to do it over and over again, just put it all in the same thing.
yeah. That would be too easy. You can't really do
So
that.
I had to keep like making a new one or just
Yep,
copying and pasting the other.
yep. That's pretty much what you have to do. Um, what I would recommend is because yours, the way I see it is, it's kind of like a um um matte painting in animated matte painting. Do y'all know what matte paintings are, by the way? Anybody? Anybody? Really? Nobody knows what matte paintings are. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna wait. I'm being serious. Nobody knows what matte paintings are, right?
Is
Haven't
it
been
like
introduced to it yet. Yeah, go ahead. What's your
I don't think I've heard the term matte painting, but is it like
okay.
just landscape painting essentially?
No, matte paintings are what is used in films, essentially 100-year-old technology, where you literally paint the backgrounds, which are usually like backgrounds that are otherwise not available, like in planet Earth, or something that the studios might not be able to, recreate in a short amount of time, or it's just something like, think Avatar. You just need a brand new world, literally, um, to create your own kind of environment where you need to shoot your actors, actresses, et cetera, et cetera. For example, The Mandalorian. Um, is one of those examples where they used a video wall, like a really big video wall, and all the, world and everything was basically matte painted on there, um, in order to, make worlds that would otherwise not be there, basically. And that's essentially what matte paintings are. I'm trying to find my examples of matte paintings real quick. And I can't find it, huh? Uh, Maybe it's this one. Nope. Um, there used to be great um examples of matte paintings, but if you all have seen a movie any time in your life, you have seen matte paintings. Um, so matte painting, the ultimate example I'm going to show you, this is a side step because I really need to explain this to you all, especially being animation students. They're literal paintings. I mean, especially when we were working with films, they were literal paintings. Now that we use digital, they're not, paintings anymore. They're stuff that's created in the 3D or 2D environment. But this is like the original Star Wars matte painting. Where the guy, those soldiers, I mean, those, what are those called, you all? Those soldiers,
Stormtrooper?
stormtroopers, thank you. The rest of them were not really there. They were painted by an artist. It was only this little bit that's masked out where the action was happening. It started in basically the 1920s, where the painting would be projected behind the actors and then they would be filmed in front of that. So think like, early video walls. And there's a lot of great examples that I have that I can't find. But if you ever seen Walking Dead, uh, that's a great example of matte painting, and this is one of the artists. And basically, this is what I was trying to tell you. This is what I was telling you, is that essentially what you're doing is you're creating a matte painting. You're starting off with a very clean plate. You're not necessarily combining backgrounds and stuff. You're just starting off with one picture. But with that one picture, what you want to do is really in layers add your destruction. Because one thing I'm seeing here is there's growth here, but the ceiling is like clean. The ceiling is so nice and clean. You know what I mean? It's like the rest of the images and areas don't necessarily get affected by that growth and this and the takeover of nature. You see what I'm saying, Darian? Yes, no. So, anyway, this is an example of matte painting where this plus this becomes this, which is ultimately worked with additional um shaders and techniques and stuff to essentially create the environment um where it would be filmed with all the other actors, actresses, etc. So this artist has a lot of different examples of matte paintings. He's worked on a couple of he's a matte painter in the industry. And I love like the stuff that he shows there. But also, any, like I said, any movie that you've ever seen has that kind of matte painting effect to it. And there is uh no, that's not it. This is the really, really cool example, and the original artist took the example down. I don't know if it was saved. It was saved somewhere during you know, the online thing. But basically, this is a really interesting matte painting where the let's see if it loads up. Where it goes basically step by step on um creating matte paintings. But again, they were essentially things that were paintings that were done to give us worlds and areas and environments to film in for live action um, that would otherwise not exist in the real world, or that would take a long, long time to recreate, and therefore blow the budget of you know anyone that is trying to um, produce a movie. All right, let's see. I am trying to find the Internet Archive because that's the only thing I had. And I thought I had. Nope, this is not it. All right, well, you know what? During break, I'm gonna look for it because I definitely want to go over a little bit of matte painting, especially considering that none of you have heard about it, and you're gonna hear about it more later. But I want to just show you some examples of matte paintings in movies. And we'll go over that later. I do have a link for that somewhere, but I can't find it now, which is um okay, but it's not great. But that's my main thing is like I'm okay with the growth that's coming on over here. Um, but I just feel like the rest of the scene is way too clean. Like, I would consider making it more of kind of like a time lapse thing where the growth is kind of over time, like how you have the textures on the edges over here. You see where my mouse is right there and right there. Just make sure that's also creeping up the poster. As time goes by, that poster should start kind of wrinkling and looking old. And those are like the things you will have to make in Photoshop as layers. But then you just kind of animate it with dissolves and stuff in After Effects. And if we have time later, I'll just kind of show you some of the tricks you can use to just kind of, excuse me, do that. Um, but just these things over here. Don't forget the top, basically. So that is what I would, in addition to what you have already. So have you been thinking about like, the rest of the area and then also the light? Because, one thing that would be cool is if you have kind of like the lighting condition go from dark to light to mimic like passage of time and sun up, sun down. You know what I
Uh,
mean?
kind of. The layer that's coming down right now, you see at the bottom where your mouse is,
Mm-hmm.
right on top.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit lighter before, but that's like me slightly darkening the entire area.
Mm-hmm.
And on the top left, where the lights are, I did add in the brushes and then did the light effect so that there's somewhat shining through,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like really hard to tell.
Yeah. And what I would do is instead of like getting so like kind of that detail, I would just kind of make it, you know, instead of like detailing certain areas, just kind of give it a overall like with individual areas, because these are basically shapes where the growth would be or dust or whatever it might be, you know?
Mhm.
So just kind of applying more of that effect to the top and other areas because you have the bottom covered pretty well. And then also the other comment I wanted to make, first of all, it's not widescreen 1920 by 1080 or 1280 by 720, so just be sure it's widescreen, although it doesn't have to be. I didn't say I did I said that there it's not any real standard, but um what I would definitely do though is because the image is so static, how about maybe starting from like a more zoomed in area and then slowly in this 29, 30 seconds of moss growth and everything, just slowly zoom out so that we kind of still maintain a motion so that our image is not just like static. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's the main thing I would do is just kind of, maybe start a little bit zoomed in, and as that growth is happening, it your our camera goes from like this much to revealing the whole thing, and that can take it's a slow push out. Basically, it's a slow zoom out, and that can take like the whole entire 30 seconds or 25 seconds, and then last 5 seconds or whatever, we're left with the um wide shot. All right, but
Mhm.
just something to just really imply additional motion of the camera because um, while there's a lot of, growth going on here, there's really just something we just need some additional motion just to keep our focus on the animation instead of it being so like, single frame without any, cuts or movements or anything. So that would just to slow out would just kind of help
Okay.
um, keep that motion. Does that make do you know what I mean? Make sense, Darian?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. I mean, and that's the main thing because you got most of the animation. It's just doing more of it. And one thing I would say is just turn up the blurriness on some of your um paths because just turning up the blurriness, it'll get rid of that. See how these show up as like super jagged lines?
Yeah.
Just turning up the blurriness to like 12% or whatever, 12 pixels might just make it so that they just look like softer and creeping up more. All right.
Hmm.
But like I said, the main thing I would like to see is like just everything on the top, like stuff happening on the top balanced with stuff happening on the bottom. Even if it's not growth, it's gonna be mold and it's gonna be dust, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just more of the same, but just kind of putting it on the top. And you did say you were thinking about and you have an idea of the music that you're adding or sound.
More like just like modifying the sounds so this way it doesn't like sound so like loud or something. I was trying to figure that out.
Okay.
Just like
Um,
adjusting
what kind
the
of
full on
sound?
audio.
What kind of
Oh.
sound do you have in mind?
Just like regular plant growth, a bit of crunching, and I guess like
Okay.
ambient slowly forming in the back.
What I would do, and you all can tell me if this makes a sense or not. Like, I wouldn't start the growth right off the bat. I would just have like, again, maybe zoom, you're starting off like here, this much of the screen. So you're zoomed in a little bit more. It's all nice and clean. for the first like 3 seconds. And for that first 3 seconds, if you can, just find like, sounds of people walking around in the mall. Just, generic sounds of people walking around in the mall and then transition to the growth sound. So it can kind of give us a sense of like this used to be a busy place and now it's abandoned and stuff is growing all over. It'll add a little bit more, I think. Kind of like just not impact, but something to grab the viewer's attention, like um, in terms of sound, right away. And then you can transition to the growth sound. So let me know if those make sense, and if not, I'm sure you're gonna have additional stuff that you're gonna figure out like, oh, maybe I could do this or maybe I could do that. But definitely I would get something on the top too, because even in your own house, if you stop taking care of it, actually the only time I've seen houses like destroy itself is when nobody lives there for a long time. But when nobody's there inside a house for a long time, what happens? The stuff starts coming in, but also stuff from the ceiling starts happening too. So just remember, just something to make it so that it's not so clean and shiny on the top and then all dirty on the bottom. And make sure basically the rest of your environment matches that kind of worn out look, is ultimately what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mainly spent most of the time working on the floor as a bit of the walls, and I
Hmm.
even tried doing the reflection on the glass in the back.
Um, these right here,
No, to the right, yeah.
these.
It's like very subtle, but
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see it. It's right there. That works, but again, just to balance it out, to add a little bit more, to add the things on the top as well. But other than that, this is a good start, and it's definitely, if you've come a long way and you've got a good idea of what you're trying to do. I'm just trying to help you add a little bit more, like just secondary motion, so that we're just not looking at a static thing, which
Mhm.
means that, just kind of start off zoomed in a little bit and then let it reveal the whole thing. So I think your audio is fine. And you might also think about adding, birds and a bird flying by or insects kind of buzzing around or something as well, because I feel like your audio really lends itself to that kind of sound, kind of stuff inside the space. So, a lot of, not a lot, but a couple things to think about. But I think, so far, as far as the work in process and what you've got, it's good. It's just, just need to apply it to the other parts. And I think you're okay with the sound. But I hope you take that idea of the people walking around like that kind of 3 to 5 seconds of just, people walking around in the mall, even though it's empty, just to give us that nostalgic effect. Like, remember back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s when everybody was at the mall? Actually, 90s is when people stopped going to the malls, but yeah. Um, you have any other questions or concerns, Darian? Hmm.
all for now. That's something in the class, so.
Okay. Yeah, if I'm gonna try to go over some additional techniques if you want towards the end of the class. Hopefully, we'll have a few minutes for that. But good work, Darian, so far. Let's give Darian a round of applause, everyone. I do like the sound, Darian. I don't think you really have to do anything with that sound. It's just it lends itself to your um animation. All right,
Hmm.
Jax, you are up next. I want to download this. Can I download? Yeah, I can download that. Are you here, Jax? I thought he is not here. Oh no. All right, well, I'm gonna skip Jax until later. Vin, how about you? You're here. All right, lead us into it real quickly. Ah, I don't like it that it starts playing right away. Vin, are you on microphone? You are. I can't hear you though. I have a separate mute button on my microphone, y'all. So if I am ever talking and my microphone is unmuted, I'm still muted sometimes.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So originally I had two ideas for this project,
Mhm.
and the idea I wanted to go for was the trip to Vietnam. And right now I'm
Oh,
just working
nice.
on designing the rest of the scenes, but I have an idea how they want to look, and I'm
Okay.
also working on the background. But I'm
And what did
also
you
on the sorry.
go ahead? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm still on the fence about whether to use the song that's present in this clip or use like sound effects, like with the plane taking off, people shuffling, people
Okay.
talking. Yeah.
All right. What was the other one? That was like the other one was kind of like a state of mind, right? Not an actual physical location.
Yeah, it was like an in-game thing that I had an
Right.
idea
Yeah.
for.
Now remember.
But thinking about it, I didn't I didn't really know how to go about it.
Okay. Well, whichever one you were able to go about, and also, just something that's more culturally significant to you. I mean, this is you know, part of this thing is called cultural conditioning. I think we talked about like even though you haven't been there yet, you've grown up with so many um like kind of ideas and stories about it because that's your like ethnic background, right? Like
Hmm.
so um it's like, you have this idea in your mind of what it is, what it's like, and it's just like a matter of time before you go there, right?
Yeah.
Um, by the way, you all, this reminds me of me in Bangladesh. So, high school up until college, we would go to Bangladesh like every few years during the summer, and we would spend summer times there in the 90s, um, and 2000, the year 2000, not like the 2000s. And so it was a beautiful place back then when the country was poor and everything was nice. And then I go back there like 10 years later in 2010 and I hate the place now. It's all quote unquote modernized. Everybody hates each other. Traffic sucks. And people are rich, but everybody hates each other. So I was like, I don't like that you. So here, this is the thing. It's like my childhood idea of Bangladesh and what it is now are like completely two different things, and it's like I can't stand going there anymore. Because of that, it's just changed so much culturally, and also, things like that happen. Just remember, 20 years ago, um, as an American citizen, I was proud to travel with an American passport internationally. And now, as an American citizen, I kind of have to, um, you know, like be, um, what is the word? Like just kind of quiet and not quiet, but you all know what I mean. It's like you can't um proclaim that you're an American. It's like, oh, I'm from America. Before I used to say it proudly. Now it's like, oh, I'm from America. But anyway, things change versus like what you remember versus what heard of versus when you actually get there. So Vin, that's just a warning for you actually, and anyone else too. Um, anyway, without any further ado, let's go ahead and watch Vin's work in process.
毎日とは変えて見た無色のルーティン
Nice. I like what you got so far. How much longer is this gonna be? Because this is great artwork too.
Um like 30 seconds, thir 20 or 30 more seconds.
Okay.
That's what I'm aiming for.
Okay. Yeah, you're getting a lot of comments on your, the style of your work. What did you make this in?
Clip Studio.
Okay. Um, are you drawing this with your tablet or um
Yeah, I have like a small tablet.
okay, that's like a Wacom tablet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because your style is really well done. I think with the music, you can kind of have both. I would do like just a little, juxt not necessarily fade in and fade out, but leave the music, but turn that down and maybe, this part like now boarding, blah blah blah, something like that if you can find those sounds. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
But keep the music because it also culturally signifies, IAD to SGN. Is that Saigon
Yeah,
International?
Saigon.
Okay. Also another thing in Bangladesh, they keep changing the name of the airport every time the new, political power gets in
Oh, that
position
must be
there.
so annoying.
Oh yeah, tell me. I mean, luckily the call number, like the three-letter thing there, IAD or SGN, that's the same, but it's so annoying for the um actual name of the airport.
hmm
So yeah. Well, Donald Trump has learned it's like it's funny because I keep saying we came from, my parents fled this country, not fled, but they came from this country because it was blah 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 like this, and now America's become like that. It's like, yeah, well, Donald Trump and the party in power has learned a lot from politicians in Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan, is what I feel like. But enough of that. As far as your sound effects goes, I think that that would be the best approach because the music definitely has like this upbeat kind of feel to it, but it also, it being a Vietnamese song or a song in Vietnam.
Oh, what's
Um,
funny? It's actually a Japanese song,
did I
but
get it wrong?
I
Uh-huh.
kind of just used it because I wanted that upbeat feel. So I think I'll try and find
Hmm.
a Vietnamese song similar to like that tone.
Ask your parents. Would that work?
Yeah.
Because I've definitely heard songs like this because I've grown up with some Vietnamese friends and like go into their house and I'm like, oh, this is actually pretty catchy music. What is this? I'm like, I don't know. My dad listens to it all the time. But yeah, ask your parents. They might have a better idea. But again, if it's this is the mistake. Do you want people to think it's like I just did? Do you want people to think it's like Vietnamese and it's like, oh no, it actually isn't.
Yeah, I
Um,
was thinking about it when I had the choice for the song. I was
uh-huh.
like, it's strange because it's an animation about like going to Vietnam, but it's playing a Japanese song.
Right, right. But I'm sure you can find like an upbeat music like that in from Vietnam
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Vietnamese song. So yeah, I don't know. Growing up in my teens, I grew up with a lot of I'm Asian, but the rest of my Asian friends were like Vietnamese or Pakistani. But I like, again, I really like the style. I like how you're developing this. So tell us what happens now after the boarding sign, after this. What's the next few things that are happening?
The next scene I was thinking about adding was just like a peek inside the luggage bag, and then after that is probably a scene in Saigon.
Okay. No scene in the airplane, like the cliche airplane.
I could probably add that. I could probably add
It's
that.
like depending on how much time I have to animate, Professor.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But that would be, because I remember in your story, in your images, I think you had that one scene where it's looking out the airplane window. Was that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I could probably do that.
Just something, simple, just to indicate that she's on a flight and then go to Saigon
hmm
or be in Saigon, because we do know that she's about to board a plane, but it feels kind of empty without that plane shot. It doesn't have to be cliche like plane taking off or whatever. It could just be a simple like, to go back to your reference images, just that image of her looking out of the airplane of the window of the airplane and just seeing like the sky or you know the
Hmm.
land or something like that from up top. Nothing very complicated, but something just to signify that she's in the airplane and, anticipating her arrival.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's the only thing I would add. Are you planning on adding color?
Um, Probably not.
I
I don't
was
think I
just,
will.
okay. No, the reason I asked, I just wanted to hear what you would say, but in my head, I was like, please don't, please don't, please don't, because right now with your animation, the style, I think, color would be a whole another 2, 3 week process. But also, I think
Yeah, for sure.
it might actually take away from it, from the simplicity of the overall animation and the way our eyes are drawn into this, like that, and then the character. And I think it helps to frame the significant, um, locations um, in our mind with the black and white artwork.
Hmm.
So, yeah, nice work, and I'm looking forward to seeing it in its full animation. So let's go ahead and watch it one last time, yo, with sound.
毎日とは変えてまた無色のルーティンあな
All right, let's give Vin a round of applause, everybody. By the way, I tried taking Japanese in high school just to go to a better high school, and it didn't work. All right, Amelia, you are next. Oh, actually, we should take a break. It's 11:55. Let's see who's left. One, two, three, four, five, six. All right, so far 6 people. I think we've gone through about half of them. So when we get back, we'll go through, we'll start off with Amelia and just work our way back up. Um, and then after that, I hope we will have about 10 minutes because if we do, I could introduce you all to Project 3 a little bit early so that, you get thinking right away. I know you have this Project 2 animation still to do, but just to, get that in your head. Although, you don't necessarily need to work on it or anything, but I just want to do a little quick intro before the actual detailed intro next week. So I'll go ahead and do that at the end of class if we have time. But I definitely want to go over some tutorials as well for you all. So let's take a 15-minute break, you all. It